Coach, as we get the season started on Saturday, what type of feeling do you have about the identity that you've seen this defense start to build through the offseason and now heading up to the opener?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with these guys, Scott. Um, a ton of resolve, uh, a great amount of work ethic. I've been really impressed with just how every challenge we've put in front of them, they've exceeded expectations on. And I think obviously we've got a lot of young guys that haven't started a lot of football games and things like that for us. They're getting led by the guys that have, and they're doing everything in their power to build confidence and trust in their teammates and our staff. I've just been I've been really pleased with this group and the workmanlike attitude that they have.
When I see your defense on the field in practice, if you close your eyes and think back to when you first arrived at the yard, it's amazing the size and the speed, the length of the players you have out there. With that type of player fitting into the scheme that you've been working with at the Naval Academy, I would imagine the sky's the limit with some of these young guys as they develop.
Yeah, I really think our recruiting staff, our coaching staff in general, on both sides of the ball, have upped the ante in terms of the way that we recruit. And obviously, this is a special place. College football is in a really weird state right now, and I don't know if you want to say we're classic, we're old school, traditional, all that type of stuff. I think a lot of the reasons why guys got into playing football, being part of a team, a brotherhood, wanting to play college football, get a great education, a wonderful place to go to school. I think there's a lot of um, reasons why to choose the Naval Academy that are a lot different than other places right now, and we're going to work really hard as a staff to continue to reap the rewards, and then figure out with those guys that we have, how can we put them in the best spots to maximize their potential and be successful.
Ever since you've been at the academy, both as a linebackers coach and now as a coordinator, it seems like each year you've got a young linebacker who emerges and you're able to carry through their career. Mark Anthony Parker, what makes him so special that he can be a starter as a sophomore in this defense?
He's really smart. Like he's got great instincts. When his mom and dad picked him up out of the crib, we always talk about like he was a linebacker when they picked him up out of the crib. Like God blessed him with wonderful instincts to play the position. But he is remarkably intelligent and retains information. And he is a guy that you tell him something once, I mean, it's converted to memory and it's fixed. And I mean, as a coach, uh, it's it's pretty special stuff. I think the world of Mark, his work ethic, it's very important to him. His teammates realize and recognize how smart he is and how much he cares and how much he works to be the best that he can be. And I feel like Mark's really got something to prove.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate your time, man.
Tim Nolan.
PJ, your response to this could be as simple as Tim, I'm working on game days, so I don't really get a chance to embrace it fully. But since you arrived at the Naval Academy, what aspect of the home football games really strikes you and really catches your attention?
Yeah, I mean that just you know you you get into college football. I mean, you love big time atmosphere. Like you want to play in a packed stadium. You want to play in um, on national television. You want eyes on you. Like when you choose to go play college football, and I never take that for granted. Man, I'm a Division III guy. My first college football game that I played in was in front of like maybe a couple hundred people in my um, basically in my high school stadium. Where in high school games we got about 10,000, and I'm playing college football in front of about 200 or 300 people. So I never take that for granted. This place is that stadium is rocking. The atmosphere is absolutely amazing. We get here, I'll get off the buses in front of the Blue Angel, go down on the Goat Walk, um, shoot, the bagpipes are playing, the band, the cheerleaders, everybody's there. There's a flyover. There's people jumping in the stands or jumping in the stadium with the game ball. Um, it just doesn't get old. And there's like, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. It's just from top to bottom, start to finish, around and round, however you want to look at it. There's nothing like a home game at Navy, and there's nothing like winning a home game at Navy.
And then going off of what Scott asked with regards to Mark Anthony Parker, you have a number of these talents who are catching your attention as just a sophomore. Do you think that's correlated with the caliber of athletes that are coming to the Naval Academy, especially in this day and age of college football?
I do. I think we're unique. We're different in this day and age of college football, to use your term. And I think a lot of people are drawn to it. You get into playing football because, you want to be part of a team. You learn about, doing your 1/11th. Other people relying on you, the responsibility, the accountability, the trust, the confidence that you build in your teammates, the way it makes you feel about yourself, the way it makes you feel about your teammates, working together to a common goal. It's not just one player can take over a game in this sport. It's everybody doing their small piece. And it's not just the guys on the field, it's the guys off the field. It's the guys giving the look. It's the equipment staff, the training staff. Like it's special. And I think here, when we recruit guys, we talk about you're going to get the best education that you possibly can get in the United States. You're going to play big time college football, and then you have a career path afterwards that has the opportunity to take care of you for the rest of your life because of the brotherhood that you're going to join, not just football players, but the community, the alumni base, the financial security that can potentially be provided for you as well. And along the way, you get to play in some wonderful atmospheres and make bonds with people that are going to last forever.
And along those same lines, in your experiences, how much have you seen the positional security aid these recruits as they choose the Naval Academy? Because elsewhere, even in your own conference, you can have a junior or a senior who all of a sudden they lost their job because somebody else got brought in by the transfer portal that doesn't exist here in Annapolis.
Yeah, the transfer portal's one way here. It's out. That's about it. And we don't have guys that do that, because they come here for the right reasons. And I think Coach Newberry, our staff, the recruiting staff, the message that we give recruits and their families, I think they choose here for the right reasons, for reasons that they connect with. And I really think the guys that we have choose to come to the Naval Academy, they're meant to be here. I think they feel that. They feel a connection with their teammates, the coaching staff, the academy, Annapolis. They feel like this is the place for them, and they're not making that decision based off of we're Under Armour, or they're not making that decision based off of the amount of gear they're going to get or the financials right now. They're making that decision on their core values and what's important to them. And I think we align with a lot of people that are smart, they're tough, they love football, and they want to work really hard to better themselves, and they're high character young men.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
One note on Mark Anthony Parker: his brother Anthony is a 2008 graduate of the Naval Academy and played soccer. Speaking of soccer, the voice of Navy football and soccer, Joe Miller, you're up.
Thanks, Scott. Coach, both I know Justin and Philip got some action last year, and Ira as well, and even Bryce as well last season. But a lot of coaches would come in. We got a couple sophomores starting at corner. They'd be really concerned about that. What have you seen from where they were at last year to this point from those youngsters that you have confidence in throwing them out there as sophomores this upcoming season?
Amazing growth. Like, I mean, we talk about it daily, with those guys in particular. I mean, it's funny that you asked that. We were just talking about it this morning. Just the mindset, the edge, the way they go about the practice. I think Coach Newberry, our whole staff, does a great job making sure that guys understand how important practice is. shoot, we just were watching a clip of Pete Carroll this morning about how practice is everything, and we strive to make that here. And some guys get that quicker than others, but you have to get that to be able to be a guy that can play here. And those guys have all picked up on that. They show up here ready to practice like it's game day every day, and that's how you improve. That's how you get better. Is you got to have that hunger, that mentality to fight. And I've been so impressed with the way Coach Green has really developed that group. He recruits that group at a really high level. There's some more good young ones down the pipe. You come out to practice, you see those guys, you're like, whoa, holy smokes. There's some talented defensive backs that we have there. And I know I'm not trying to turn this all into a recruiting conversation, all that type of stuff, but I think Coach Green does a great job recruiting. He does a great job retaining and developing his guys. And I've been extremely pleased with those guys and their development from this point this year, from last year to this year. I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah. When you look at VMI and the opponent on Saturday, I know they have a new play caller, but you would expect some things that you've seen from them in recent history. When you're talking about what your game plan is and what you're emphasizing on Saturday when it comes to VMI, what is that for your group?
Yeah, we got to play our style of football. Like that's the biggest thing for us. I think, like, I watch VMI on tape, and I certainly don't see a one-win team. Like I was shocked when I read the record based off of what I saw on tape. I mean, I see a well-constructed offense that has a lot of different challenges, and I'm sure they'll have even more as they move forward with the new offensive coordinator. And everything that we hear about him is just how bright and detailed that he is, and creative. So we know that this is a big challenge for us, and we've got to be ready to play football on Saturday.
When you look at them, what would you say is some of the things they do well? What kind of offense do they run? What are those things that you look at for them this upcoming game on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I see a toughness about them. They're very multiple with what they do. I know they're going to lean on different formations, shifts, trades, motions, ways to get their guys, their playmakers, the ball. They want to spread the ball around and be able to do those things. So that makes it is something that obviously we got to be prepared for a lot in week one. And that's not much different than any other week one. All these Coach Rocco has won a ton of football games. He's an excellent football coach, somebody that I've had a ton of respect for from afar my entire coaching career. Like, this is going to be a well-coached football team that's going to play hard. They're going to play physical. They're going to play smart. And we've got to be at our best.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Joe.
I think every one of these is a recruiting session opportunity with our guys and the coaches.
If you give me a chance to say it, I will say it. I'll shout it from the mountaintops. I mean, this is an exceptional place. This is few are chosen and even fewer choose it. And like I meant before, like I said before, I mean, I think with our message to recruits and the way we portray it to them, like, the right ones choose to come here, and that's why they stay.
Amen. Wags.
Julian Mudame will be making his first career start at end. Is he ready? What can you tell us about Julian and what he brings to the table?
Yeah, he's had a heck of a camp. Tons of confidence and trust in him. He's an extremely skilled player against the run and the pass. Very multiple skill set. Big body that can run, bend, move, strike. Really impressed with Julian and his growth. He's another one of those guys that has made a tremendous amount of progress from a year ago, and that's a testament to him, his work ethic, Coach Carizzi, the work that he's put in terms of his strength and conditioning, flexibility, all those things. And then obviously Coach Hall and the way that he has developed him on the field.
And I know that both Job Grant and Mark Anthony Parker have a very high upside, a lot of potential, but they are relatively inexperienced, and they're replacing two very proven commodities in Colin Ramos and Kyle Jacob. And I was mentioning on the Landon Robinson, as good as Colin Ramos has been, I think Kyle Jacob had a pretty overlooked, incredible season last year with all of the playmaking he did, interceptions and getting hands on balls, pressures, etc. Um, there's pressure on these two young men, Job and Mark Anthony, to replace two proven guys. Can you talk about where they're at?
Yeah. I think obviously Colin was a guy that started the last two games of his freshman year and really just continued to develop and had a wonderful career. KJ, this time last year was a guy in-house, we all felt a ton of confidence about, but hadn't played a lot of football, and he was in a very similar situation to Job Grant, where he's KJ was a senior, but Job's a junior. Hasn't played a ton, got to play a little bit on ST, all that type of stuff, and ended up having just a remarkable season. I think there's a lot of parallels between him and Job and where they're at right now, and especially at this point in the year. Mark is a guy that played as a freshman, similar to Colin, and had a lot of production when he was in there. And really, Job and Mark, you go back, you watch clips on them from last season, they probably deserved to play even more than they really did because of the way that they executed and performed when they got their opportunities last year. It was just, sometimes you got to go with the hot hand. But I'm really impressed with them, their growth. Coach Wimberly has done a great job coaching them. We coach the linebackers together. I'm really impressed. I think he's just a phenomenal coach and is able to relate to those guys and put things in terms that lets them go out there and play fast and play our style of ball. But I fully expect both of them to have monster years for us.
And I could just basically repeat the question in terms of Phil Hamilton and Justin Ross, guys with great potential. Again, they're young, and you would expect in an American conference where teams are very high-powered passing games, they're going to go after two sophomore cornerbacks. Are they up to the challenge?
Yeah, I've got immense confidence and trust in both those guys. And like I was telling Joe earlier, like their growth from this point last season to this point right now is absolutely remarkable. And there's a lot of guys on the defense like that. There's a lot of guys on special teams and the offense like that. We've been going against each other for, since the spring, whatever it would be, 26, 15, 31, something, closing in on, 30 something practices. I mean, it's been really impressive. Just these guys and their growth and the way that they've worked. But Phil, Jay Ross, and a lot of other guys, are primed. They're ready.
All right, well, I'll let Gary jump in. He hadn't had a chance to ask his questions.
Thanks, Wags.
I guess Wags is my moderator now. Gary. You're muted, Gary.
Sorry about that. PJ, always a pleasure to talk with you.
Likewise. Thanks.
So seniors, as they step up for that last ride, all of them, nobody comes through this thing unscarred, in a lot of ways, especially if you're going to play, 3-4 years of football at the Naval Academy. But let's talk about McShann. And I'd like you to just kind of reflect on his ride, which has been probably unlike anybody else's, really, who's standing upright as a senior and ready for his last ride. The ups and downs, the emotions, the darkness, the light that came back last year. Can you just talk about what he means to you, and just everything he has contributed, even when nobody really knew from the outside that he was contributing?
I love Kenny McShann. Um, he didn't need to play a snap here at the Naval Academy for me to love him and respect him. Just from the moment I met him during recruiting, which was a weird recruiting time where we're on Zoom calls and doing all that type of stuff, getting a chance to talk with him. And then he started as a inside linebacker. So he was in my room. He was a violent hitter, great leader, just charismatic personality. He's got one of those personalities that you just gravitate towards. And I think everybody on the team would tell you that. He's got $1 million smile, and then he's got a steel jaw too. So it's a great fit for a leadership aspect, and he came in and played. We do a tackling drill that is, we call it the Titan drill because we got it from the Tennessee Titans, and it's a really hard drill to tackle him. And as a true freshman, I mean, he flashed immediately. I mean, he's got plebe summer legs, all that type of stuff, and boom, he just jumps off the tape immediately as a guy taking space and going to spike the shoulder and doing all the things that we coach guys to do. It really was instinctual and came natural to him. So we bumped him up quickly on ST, and he's running down on kickoff as a freshman, and obviously gets injured in the Memphis game and tears his ACL, and then, it's hard, to watch that as a coach. You see a kid that, he's realizing his dream to play, Division I college football here at the Naval Academy, do that. And then boom, it's the tough part of this game. It's the best game in the world, but the injury piece of it is brutal. And his season's gone. And we saw how hard he worked to come back and do all those things. And then he, in a drill during fall camp, just weird injury, and then, blows his ACL after all that work to come back. And Kenny fought, all those mental demons that come with, being injured for the first time and then being injured for the second time. And they're both season-ending injuries. And then he just came back and continued to work. And last year just got better and better as the season went along. But I just think, he made an interception in the second game of the year against Temple late in the game. And it's probably one of my favorite plays I've ever had as a coach, to see him make that football play, and the way our entire sideline erupted in a game that was, I think it was 38-3 at the time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, wasn't it out of hand by then too?
It was out of hand at that point, and to see the way the sideline erupted just tells you how his teammates, how much they care about him, and that was really special. It's something I don't care how old I get or anything like that. I will never forget that.
Well, and then of course he kept keeping on too last year. Would he get that first start maybe about a little more than halfway USF, like more than halfway through, and then the Oklahoma game, the Army pick.
Yeah.
Is that flashing before you repeatedly, knowing him, knowing what he was when you recruited him, as like, is there a little bit of wistful thinking, like, geez, he could have been a guy doing that for 4 years, you know?
I mean, he just kept getting better and better as the year went along. And that, like I said, that's the tough part of this game, and a lot of people that don't have the resolve that he has, probably would have hung it up at some point, or they would have continued to play, but not work the way that he worked to get back out there. And that one time, in this past season did he really, hey, I'm running with the twos or anything like that. He just kept working. He just kept fighting. He kept scratching. He kept trying to get better and better and better, and then, all of a sudden he got an opportunity to start and played really well. And, he just, he's got a immense amount of resiliency that I really just I find remarkable. And I remember, and Strauss, you probably remember. I mean, we talked about it really early in meeting him. Like he's got captain written all over him, all
Yep.
that type of stuff. And you and I talked about that, when he was a freshman, and he's a leader on this football team. Like he is as respected as anybody that's ever, walked through Ricketts Hall in terms of the football program.
On media day, he was an extra up on the podium, and he didn't get a chance to say a lot. You got Alex there, you got Blake. I mean, these guys can talk, and but man, the first time he opened his mouth and really said something, I'm like, I want to hear him talk some more.
Oh yeah,
He's really got that thing.
He's sharp. He's sharp. He gets it. It's important to him. He's well thought out, and he works really, really hard. And like I said before, he's got that, personality that you just sort of gravitate to. Some guys got it, some guys don't. He definitely has it.
What are some of the ways when he was rehabbing and rehabbing again that he was still very much a part of the room, very much a part in the ears of guys, maybe that you didn't even have to see it, but he's lurking. He's got something to say.
So I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. There's so many times when guys get injured where they detach themselves. And I've seen it a bunch. And you try to warn guys about that, like finding a way to make sure they still get to meetings, to make sure they're still around the football team and attached. And Kenny did a remarkable job of that. You have to be intentional about that. You have to find time. And time around here compared to anywhere else I've coached is as precious a commodity as anything. But he made time to be a teammate. He made time for his teammates to be around. And I think that was critical. And I'm sure there was times where he didn't feel like it. I'm sure there was times where he probably felt a little sorry that he didn't have an opportunity to be out there himself. But he never showed that externally to his teammates. He was always here. He's always there for them. And then that's why they respect him. Part of the reason why, not the only reason why, but part of the reason they respect him to the level with which they do.
Thank you, man. Good luck getting that first 1-0.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Yep.
In my 35 years in Navy, I put Kenny McShann right up there with Ricky Dobbs as two of the most charismatic players we've had.
There you go. I mean, that's a strong statement. 35 years, Strauss? Holy smokes.
I know, hard to believe. Hard to believe.
That's wild.
Let's see. Let's go back
That's
to Scott
awesome.
Wyckoff.
That's 1 year less than I've been at the Capitol.
Really? Coach, you guys are pillars of our community. I love it.
No one's ever said that before. I'll tell you that. Scott Wyckoff.
Do you look at this as like playing one of the service academies with the toughness that you've seen on film from many of these players that are going to be choosing military as their careers? Like
yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the way they play football, the style of play, like we talked about before. I mean, there's a lot of similarities to that. I'm really, like I said, I'm really impressed with these guys on tape, and that's not coach speak or anything like that. I really think they've got a well-constructed offense. You can hear from the way that they talk, they feel confident about their offense and what they're able to do and how they've been able to grow the offense. And we know we've got to play great football on Saturday, and we got to be ready for about anything.
Thanks.
Tim Nolan.
Yeah, Coach, not to harp on the recruiting pitch you're given earlier, but, I got a chance to ask a similar question to Coach Cronick because there's a number of you ambitious coaches who've formed this nucleus of this staff at Navy. And, some from the outside may look at it as a stepping stone. Oh, where's Coach PJ Volker going to go? Where's Coach Cronick, Coach Newberry going to go? You're back for another season opener. You're back for another season here in Annapolis. Why? What keeps you coming back to this place?
Listen, we all argue that who's got the best job in the country. Like I feel like I have the best job in the country. I loved my job at Kennesaw State when I was there. Absolutely loved it. My wife and I, we talked about that from the moment we got the opportunity to come here. Like, this is a destination job. Like, this is, we get to coach the best our country has to offer. I mean, like, I ask a question in meetings, I get hands, I get answers, like they're locked in. We work really hard as a staff. We want that 45 minutes that we get to meet with them daily to be their best 45 minutes of the day until we get out on the grass for 2 hours. And then we need that to be the best part of their day. And every guy to a man does that day in and day out. Like, this is extremely special. Like, my daughter was, shucks, they were 3 and 1 when we got here. Like, and Annapolis is home to them. They love coming around, watching these guys. I just had Terrell Adams come by, who played here for 4 years for us, and then him with his brother Josh. They just came by. He happens to be in town because one of his teammates is getting married this weekend, and stop in and just to have that type of stuff happen on a daily basis, and to see him and see his little boy that's 1 year old and meet his wife. Like, this is extremely special. And I can't imagine coaching anywhere else.
Thank you.
We only got about 4.5 minutes left. I want to add on to that. Obviously, the midshipmen are the biggest part of it, but do you also think the coaching staff, the way Coach Newberry has constructed it, like, there's, everyone, all those guys are great football coaches, but even more importantly, they're great people. Everyone gets along. It's I can see it, even though I'm not part of the staff, I'm around, and then how you guys connect to the players as well, that, just how you guys get along as a staff too.
I'll be totally honest. Like, I park on the water out there every day. I park right there. I skip into work. I work with guys that I just think are absolutely phenomenal and are great friends. I learn something, take something from everybody. Coach Cronick, Coach Jasper, Coach Akitis. I can't name them all. I mean, we have that staff meeting in there. It's crazy. There's 30-something people in there. Coach Miller, Coach Carizzi, Coach Guillermo, Coach Cole, the entire defensive staff, the recruiting staff. Like, it's just guys you legitimately enjoy being around. Courtney, Miss Laura, Ronnie. I mean, everybody. Brandon Jones. Like, you just go on and on. Jim Barry. Like, you go in there and you're like, somebody's got something to teach somebody every single day. Somebody brings in some donuts. Somebody brings in some healthy stuff. We meet somewhere in the middle. Coach Newberry, he rules the way that you want someone to rule. He cares for his people. He knows his people. We've got a idea of how we want to go about our business. We work really hard to do that. And we have a lot of fun doing it. And I'll be honest with you, Scott, like, I had never parked my car here and thought I was going to work. I've had other jobs where I've parked my car and I've told the staff this before, where I'm dry heaving in my car before I go into the office because I'm so miserable. Like here, it's not like that. Like I said, I skip into work and I can't wait to see these guys that we work with. Can't wait to see the players. And to be honest with you, like, this thing has opened up things for me, meeting people that I never ever would get an opportunity to meet in a million years doing anything else. You're in the locker room before the Army Navy game, and there's the president of the United States 5 feet away, addressing you and shaking your hand and all that type of stuff. I mean, like, that doesn't happen. Get to go to the White House, win the CIC. Like, shoot, what the heck else do you want?
Great, thank you. That will conclude today's session. Thanks a lot, Coach Volker. I'm glad you named Ronnie Dillis. He would have been devastated if you missed him.
I apologize to anybody that I didn't name.
You got most.
Oh, boy.
All right, thanks, everybody.
For that. All right.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll see you guys. Thanks for your time.